There you are. Hello, it's Marky Billson, your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. The name of the program is Tri-City Sports Now. The name of the radio station is 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, where we own the Tri-Cities. Best guess, hardest hitting opinions. Today, a real hard-hitting opinion. I'm going to talk about the shame of the Tennessee Volunteers. And this has nothing to do with the coaching search of Jeremy Pruitt or Greg Schiano or what have you with that. Tomorrow, it is, I got to get the year right, but about 70 years ago, and you'll find out about this, there was, I think, the most disgraceful incident in the history of the Vols occurred. And there's an author that I know, David Finoli, who I really like his stuff. In fact, I've even quoted some of the things that he said at my grandfather's funeral, some phrases and all this. So a man who has the mastery of the English language, if you will, and can really touch you with his writing. He has done some research on this. Yeah, I'm holding this back a little bit, but to say, what is it? The shame of the Vols? No, what could that be? We're going to talk about that. Then, 12:45, talk to Ken Pomeroy of KenPom.com. Ken Pomeroy ranks every team in college basketball, major college basketball. I really am high. As you know, I talked about it for a half hour yesterday, the victory of Wofford over North Carolina. I just think that, the way I look at it, the Southern Conference have always appreciated the brand of ball that is played in the Southern Conference. I realize it's not the ACC. Then again, hey, Wofford did something the ACC's Clemson could never do, right? That was win in North Carolina. And I just look at this, and I really think that this could be the year with Wofford. Now, some things would have to happen, but potentially this could be a two-bid year for the SoCon. Is that a legitimate idea? I'll talk about it with Ken Pomeroy, and I'll also be breaking down what the basketball game tonight at Freedom Hall indicates, which is SoCon versus Sun Belt. Georgia Southern, a former SoCon member, going to the Sun Belt. They're 9-3, ETSU 8-4, and boy, they really got to be grinding their teeth and say, 22-point lead versus Xavier. Why couldn't we hold that one out when Wofford is able to hold on to their 14-point lead and never trail in the second half against the mighty Tar Heels of North Carolina, the defending national champions? So you're looking at that, but what conference is better, Sun Belt or SoCon? What's a better fit for ETSU? What's a better fit for Georgia Southern and, for that matter, Appalachian State, which has a bowl game coming up? We'll talk about that as well. But the big news that occurred overnight was the passing of Dick Enberg. And it's hard not to think of, oh my, staple of all his broadcasts, whether it's the NFL or Wimbledon. I once said on these airwaves many years ago, about 20 years ago, that Dick Enberg did for John Elway what Howard Cosell did for Muhammad Ali. I always was Marino, and for that matter, maybe even Kelly. Yeah, Jim Kelly over Elway for a few reasons. Of course, you'll say, but Elway's the one who has the rings, and that's point taken. He's also the guy who had Bobby Humphrey at the end, whereas Marino would have, the late David Overstreet or something to hand the ball off to. Tony Nathan, who caught swing passes, and after that, But anyway, that staple, that oh my, it presents a conundrum, because while it's readily apparent sportscasters with catchphrases often make a connection with fans, it's also something that is de-emphasized when developing sportscasters today because it's hokey or unprofessional. I do understand this to a point. John Ward's "Give him 6" gave him and the Tennessee Volunteers identity. I'm a fan of Bob Kessling, but perhaps one of the reasons he's been around for 20 years and really hasn't developed the following that Ward, that die-hard loyalty of the Tennessee Volunteers fan. A lot of reasons. More games are televised. You don't listen to as many on the radio. I mean, that's got to be one thing. I always thought Kessling is a little bit lax in giving the score sometimes. I'll be brutally honest with you there. On the other hand, I always thought Ward was a little slow on his play-by-play calls. But, all right, if we want to talk about the criticisms of, George. Why can't George Mooney drive a car to the game? Why does he have to show off with his boat? We could go on and do that sort of stuff all day long. But I think one of the other things that maybe why Ward is more held close to the breast of Tennessee fans, Ward had catchphrases. Kessling doesn't. Product of the times. But on the other hand, if you're going to have a catchphrase for identity's purpose, make sure it's good. I am convinced that the reason why, one of the reasons why, and I think it's a major reason why ETSU dropped football those many years ago, was Chuck Jones. Do you remember who Chuck Jones? Not the guy from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. No, Chuck Jones. He was the broadcaster of ETSU football in 2002. And he prefaced every statement he made with football fans. So in other words, you'd be listening to the game and it would be, football fans, it's 1st and 10. Football fans, the ball's on the 20. Football fans, there's no score in the first quarter. I mean, it went on and on and on throughout the broadcast. He never let up. Football fans, we're here against NC State. Football fans, we're playing Elon. I mean, that would be... And as a result, the broadcast became unlistenable. And if you're not going to listen to the game, I mean, it was that bad. The man should have lasted a game. He lasted a season. Don't ask me why. I think that it's just, ETSU either trying to be too friendly, that East Tennessee, we'll see if he won't grow in. But they should have been calling Jay Sandos or begging Chip Kessler to come back immediately. I mean, and it was an insult to fans as well as the skills of those two other broadcasters, Kessler as well as Santos, that you were left with. Football fans, it's, 31-17. It just, oh my goodness. There's another broadcaster I knew who called high school games in a different market, and he would, high school player scores a touchdown, give that guy a cream turkey sandwich. Ugh. Oh, that is trying so hard, and it is so unprofessional. Some may say the sneeze that I had right there with me, but I couldn't prevent myself there. Still, catchphrases can give a broadcast personality and a broadcaster identity. Even ESPN, which almost seems to want their anchors to be androids, once allowed Stuart Scott to say that players were as cool as the other side of the pillow, or that Keith Olbermann, they allowed him to call hockey goals biscuits in the basket. To think the career of Olbermann may have been springboarded by traditional hockey slang. I mean, but no, I mean, I can remember, those self-promos for SportsCenter, using biscuit in the basket. Dan Patrick, was moved to tears by this traditional hockey phrase. But I will tell you this, the modern day sportscaster has been taught to come away with, don't use those phrases. Even something as innocuous as Enberg's, oh my, would never come from Joe Buck, who you remember maybe once did a commercial where he made fun of broadcasters who had catchphrases. Al Michaels, I mean, do you believe in miracles? It's a one-time statement. It's not a catchphrase. He doesn't say this, after a phenomenal catch or something. No, that stands with the U.S. Olympic hockey team of 1980. And for that matter, Jim Nantz, could you imagine, a catchphrase? I mean, he wouldn't be broadcasting Wimbledon if he had it. Wimbledon, listen to me. I'm getting Wimbledon and the Masters mixed up. I'm very knowledgeable. An emphasis in professionalism without these catchphrases, I'll buy that. But I will also buy that there's a lack of identity. And with this de-emphasis, sportscasters become interchangeable, except for me on Tri-City Sports Now. In fact, I have often said that the sports talk show is where the personality comes out, the sportscasting personality that maybe you once tuned to, the Howard Cosell, with his confrontational style, or the country boy of Dizzy Dean, or something like that. Those were personalities. Now you find it on sports talk radio. Obviously, the hard-hitting opinions of Colin Cowherd, the laid-back attitude of, Dan Patrick, asking his questions, but also a bit laid back. These are personalities that are being sold to you in sports talk radio, but in play-by-play, it's emphasized, no, we don't want that anymore, at least the networks say so. The game is the thing. That's true. The game is the thing. But as a sportscaster, I wonder and I worry if I am not allowed to put my signature, if that's de-emphasized, be it a catchphrase or something else. I think that lack of identity leads to less pay for my profession as well as less job security. Now we can debate what a broadcaster adds to a sportscast. I think that there are times where it adds a lot. I do think that, for instance, even just broadcasting Unicoi County games over the years, I think that we've had good broadcasters and we've had bad broadcasters on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, or should I say WEMB. I, of course, am a good broadcaster. And I don't want to call out anybody here, but people are going to be better. You've had a lot of guys call the Blue Devils. People are going to be better than others. And you'll hear that in local high school play-by-play as well. There's no question about that. But, this is what made Enberg a star. He had the enthusiasm to relate to the Heartland, the catchphrase that made you remember who he was, but it never interfered with his professionalism. So that's what I take from Dick Enberg, who passed away due to a heart attack at the age of 82 yesterday. Sad news. Anyway, I'm going to be talking of a little bit more sad news, to tell you the truth. The shame of the Tennessee Volunteers. What is it? Dave Finoli will tell us after this on Tri-City Sports Now.
Gift giving, holiday parties,